Today I'm talking about some of the planetary shifts we have happening right at the end of October, beginning of November, and how you can best use them to open up to your creativity, the next great download for you, and also breaking your emotional attachments and finding a better balance in relationships. Hi, Prema Gurreri here, Vedic astrologer, and I'm really excited to bring to you today some of the big shifts that we have going on. I know you probably can feel it at some level. I can certainly feel it. There's a lot moving and shaking right now. That's because there's a lot of planets moving and shaking right now. There's a couple of really great shifts that I want to talk to you about so that you can make really good use of them. Here's the thing about the astrological weather is think of it as weather. So that you know that what the energy is, you then can make sense of it. You can strategize for it and around it, just like if we're going to have a sunny day, there's certain things that we know we can do, and we know what we're going to need to be prepared for them. And if we have a winter day, we're going to need to prepare ourselves much differently. So I want you to be prepared. And also, at some level you're feeling the shifts going on. And sometimes that can be really confusing. You can't tell if it's something I'm doing. Is it something that's happening outside of me? It's the energetic soup that you're in. And when you know that, you can start taking things a little less personally. You can put things in perspective. And it helps you to stay on your purposeful path so much more and not get knocked off your path so easily. It takes being present and awareness. So I want to bring your awareness to the shifts that are happening. So there are a couple of wonderful things happening. One of them is we have in the heavens what we call a Saraswati Yoga. Now, this is when the three planets of the most light, which is Venus, Jupiter, and Mercury, are all together, which happens usually about once a year. And this year, this is the one we're having. Next year, we won't actually have one. So this is a time where there's imagine you have a room that's dimly lit or a dark room, and then you turn on all the lights. Well, you can see every corner, you can see every window, you can see how to get in, how to get out, the art that's on the walls, what needs to happen in that room that may be out of place. And that's what having these planets of light is like here. Now, these are the sacred wealth code archetypes that go with these planets are the visionary, the teacher, the sage, that's Jupiter, the communicator, the messenger, and the merchant, that's Mercury, and the artist, muse, and connector, and that's Venus. So if you have any of those archetypes, you do within you, but if you know you do because you have a reading or you've taken the quiz, then you can add a little bit more deeper meaning for yourself here. But I promise you, this is influencing you. It's happening in Vedic astrology. It's happening in Scorpio. Now, Scorpio is a place in the zodiac that is deeply emotional. Let's put it that way, and very devotional. I want you to think emotional and devotional. This transit will be happening. It started on the 28th of October, and it'll go through the 4th of November. And this Saraswati, and why it's called that is, she's the goddess of the arts and creativity and wisdom. And so this is where it's a very creative time. It's a time to really dive into spirituality, into deeper teachings. She was actually in mythology, the daughter of Lord Brahma, and she stayed a child her whole life, and she stayed young and had that purity and that innocence of a young one, and ruled over again that the arts and the creativity. And the thing about the arts, whether it's poetry or writing or music or visual arts or performing arts, these are all languages of the soul. They're meant to connect what's inside of you, inside out, with the world in some way or with others in some way. At the same time, she also took part in writing the spiritual texts, the Vedas, really about the purity of mind and clarity. Now, clarity is a beautiful thing because it's freedom. So during this during this transit here, I want to invite you to open up to your own creativity or take part in creativity, whether that is attending a performance or looking at art, or participating yourself in creating creativity, whatever your form of creativity is, whether it's dance or working in your garden or drawing and painting, or again, media arts, whatever it might be. Because your soul is open during this time for just some purity to come through, some truth to drop in, some new inspiration to come up for you. Maybe you've been stuck in a certain part of your life or in your business or on your path and it's just seemed flat and dull. This is a beautiful time to open up because things are going to drop in for you. More clarity, less confusion, and also taking part in reading things that inspire you, spiritual texts, or diving into teachings that are spiritual teachings will also help to, it's like opening a gateway for this inspiration to drop in on you. So I want you to open to the downloads. Make sure that you take some time during this time to get out into nature, to again take part in in creativity, into the arts. Immerse yourself in reading that inspires you. Be willing to pull away from media, from the outer world, from your obligations, to give you that breath, that space, so that you can have that inspiration come through, so you have the space for that creativity. And notice what bubbles up. Make sure to write it down. You may not be ready to take action on it right away, but the question that'll always help you with this is whatever creativity comes up for you, whatever guidance you get, whatever download you get, that to really ask yourself, what's one inspired action that I could take to support myself in this guidance, in this inspiration? And to be willing to take that inspired action. So you bring that down to earth. So notice what's enlivening you, and get out there, enjoy the arts and creativity. I promise something's going to break through for you. You're going to feel more inspired. And let's face it, we've been going through some pretty turbulent times, and some inspiration, some creativity would be a breath of fresh air for all of us. So the other transit I want to talk about, and there's many this month, and I'll come back to you with some more, but the other one I want to talk to you about is what sometimes people dread, which is Mercury Retrograde. And that's not how I want you to feel about Mercury Retrograde. Mercury Retrograde is when Mercury moves slower, because it moves quite fast. And when it's furthest away from the sun, not to geek out on you, but it becomes very strong for whatever it represents. As far as the Sacred Wealth Code archetypes, again, that's the communicator, the merchant, and the messenger, those downloads information, can see behind the scenes of things. So this starts on the 31st of October, so I want you to be prepared. And it goes through the 20th of November. Now, it's an interesting Mercury retrograde because it happens in two constellations. It starts in Scorpio and it retrogrades back into Libra. If I was to look at your chart personally, this means something in particular for you in that part of the chart, but I want to talk collectively so it's relevant for everyone listening in. So that Scorpio place in the chart where the Saraswati Yoga is happening, and Mercury is going retrograde during that time, is, again, this deeply emotional and devotional place, but we can get stuck in our emotions there. It's very wise. It's like a deep well. There's deep wisdom in. And it's a place where we can also feel exposed and vulnerable. We can get stuck in drama for sure. So there's kind of the negative and positive sides of that Scorpio energy. The Scorpio energy wants to dig deep into things. Sometimes it can get stuck there, but you want to use it for whatever you dig deep into, and you notice what Mercury is going to help you reevaluate is really reevaluating your emotions and your attachments. And so really notice that during this retrograde up from the 31st through November 10th, again, your emotional attachments, because where you're attached emotionally, you're trying to you're trying to control in some way. So we want to release and we want to break those attachments. And then we can free ourselves to be present, to take things as they actually are, be more open to the truth instead of the filters that might be in front of us that we're seeing things through that are very much about the past. Then from the 10th to the 20th, it'll be in Libra, and Libra is all about relationships. So we're going to be reevaluating your relationships at some level, how you communicate about things, what's important to you around relationship. Where's the balance? And especially Libra wants balance in relationships. And this is personal relationships, business relationships, sort of our social collective relationships, our relationships to ourselves even. And how do we communicate? There's a desire for harmony. So where are you out of harmony in relationship? Where are you willing to compromise? And compromise is not giving up a piece of yourself. It's where you realize, I want there to be space for you. So I'm willing to pull this back or move this over here so that I'm not taking up as much space. And then there's space for both of us. And with both of us, we can mix that together. Wow, something new can be birthed from that. We were never meant to do it alone. We were never meant to live alone. A human baby can't live without being held. We need relationship. We need connectivity. So you're going to be reevaluating your relationships and to see where you can bring better balance. What's your part in that? Be willing to compromise instead of, taking instead of, if you feel conflict at all, be willing to compromise. There's more going on this month, but those are the two big ones I want to bring to you. One more thing about Mercury Retrograde. I talked about the power points of Mercury Retrograde. Yes, it involves communication, transportation. Check your schedule, back up your computer, double check things. Do not take things personally when appointments get missed or things don't get recorded in the right way. That's just typical, or a plane gets missed or whatever. You don't take things personally. I think that's part of helping us to become less attached and less controlling about things. We want to be fluid. We want to be in the flow. So don't be blaming anybody else for any of those things. Mercury retrograde is wonky, so you're going to go with the wonk during that time. But focus on the points that I mentioned about relationship and around your emotional attachments. Okay, be sure to subscribe to my channel here. You can either hover over the video or find the subscribe button below so that you can stay updated on all of the energy trends that are happening. Leave a comment below and be sure to like this and share this as well. Okay, so much love to you.